Greetings all, welcome to Everything Borrowed, where we sit down to share stories and have conversations with entrepreneurs to artists and everyone in between. Today's episode is powered by Blake's Hard Cider, 100% fresh pressed, all natural and gluten-free, straight from our family's 75-year-old farm in Southeast Michigan. Find us in your local grocer or have Blake's direct shipped to your home by visiting blakestore.com. Use promo code EverythingBorrowed to receive 10% off your first order. Must be 21 years of age. Please enjoy mindfully. My guest today is Lomas Brown, former left tackle for the Detroit Lions. His astounding career spanned 18 seasons with 5 teams, from the 1985 season through the 2002 season, as one of the best offensive tackles of his era. Lomas has not only been successful on the field, but has made the transition to a successful sports commentator and entrepreneur off the field. He has founded the Lomas Brown Jr. Foundation with a mission to engage with youth in a mindset of success, both on the field and off the field. If you're a fan of the Everything Borrowed podcast, make sure to go to the Apple Podcast app and give us a 5-star review. When I saw you, I said, damn, it looks like you could still play. What are you doing?
Well, I am working out. I got a little trainer, and I work out, try to get 3 or 4 days a weekend, because I'm just functional stuff. Just trying to be able to get up and out of a chair, out of a car. You know, it's just all functional stuff.
I mean, you look like you could bench press me right now, so you're doing all right. But, you know, that's interesting. You see a lot of athletes, and, you know, they either go one way or another. They lean out and they get functional, or it's like they get big and they go.
For a little while, the big fella, I had let it go for a little while and stuff, and I just had to stop because I wasn't feeling good. And, you know, all the injuries I had from playing football, it just starts taking a toll on you, especially when you're not moving around.
Well, that's right. So, you know, talk about a little bit of that. So you entered the league. Well, you came to Detroit in 86, 85.
85. Yep, 1985.
So, and were you drafted right out of college to Detroit?
Yep. University of Florida. Let me give them the Gator Chomp. I got to give up the Gator Chomp. But yeah, man, they drafted me up here, and I'm telling you, when I got the call from Detroit, I didn't know anything about up here. It was, you know, the farthest I had been up north was Kentucky. And, you know, all I knew was back in 85, Detroit made cars, it was coal, and back then, unfortunately, it was the murder capital back in 85. So, those are 3 facts that I had about Detroit when they drafted me.
The NFL, I feel like, has evolved so much, you know, today from, you know, when you started. But, I mean, so you ended up putting in almost 18 years.
18 years, yeah.
And I mean, what's that like? It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And you did, you know, majority of your tenure right here, you know, with the Lions. And, you know, growing up, I loved watching you. But, you know, I was wondering, you probably get asked this a lot, but who was the best player you ever lined up against?
Well, it was 3. I have to say it's 3. Lawrence Taylor's number 1.
Yeah, for sure, right?
That dude there, man, you would just be shot for that whole week preparing for him because
just terrified.
You just thinking about, man, this dude, and we're gonna go out there like a bunch of wild dogs. You know that famous sound clip that he has on NFL films, and so he was number 1. Richard Dent was number 2. AKA Dirty Dent. That was his nickname, man. So, you know, playing against the Chicago Bears, I had to face him an awful lot. And then number 3 was the late, great Chris Dolman. He was awesome, man. I think I played against him probably more than I played against any other defensive end, probably about 20-some-odd times. And, man, you know, when you go up against a guy that much in your division, it's no secrets. He don't have any secrets, and you don't have any secrets. So it's just mano y mano, man.
That's
just going at it. So, I say that's my 3 on my Mount Rushmore. And you could throw Bruce Smith and Derek Thomas in on there, but those are my top 3.
That's awesome. How, you know, the game has evolved so much. You know, what's the biggest difference you see from the day, the game today is to when you were in the league?
It's 2 things. The speed of the game and the size of these players, man. Like I was telling you when I walked in, man, I took a picture with Taylor Decker like 2 years ago, and I'm hugging him, and my arm is way up there trying to hug this dude, and we played the same position, and I'm looking at him. And I'm like, wow, man, it's just the size of these guys. And they're more athletic than we were. Like I say, the speed of the game has changed and everything. Now, I think we put more craft into our work than they did. You know, I think a lot of these players today rely on their athleticism and rely on their speed and size to get them through, where we had to be technicians too.
Sure.
And I think that kind of carries you through and make you a better player, but it's definitely the size and the speed of these guys.
As you know, you hear some of the old timers saying, you know, football's gone soft, they don't let you hit anymore. Yeah. What do you think about that?
When you know what, it is a little soft. I have to admit, there's certain things that they can't do that we used to be able to do that you look back on and okay, if you say it from the standpoint of safety, I get it. But I think it takes a little aggression out the games. Like, I talk to Benny Blades all the time, famous safety for the Lions, and he tells me, he said he couldn't play in today's game because the commissioner would be taking his check every week.
He'd be suspended.
Absolutely, man. He'd be getting that FedEx envelope. That's when you know you got fined. When you come in the locker room,
a big FedEx envelope right there.
FedEx envelope sitting on your chair in your locker, then you know you've been fined by the league and the commissioner.
You talked about, you know, your life of injuries a little bit throughout the league. I mean, how often were you playing with an injury? What was your injury, you know, kind of experience like? And I mean,
question.
you know, and you know, I know, you know, CTE and, you know, headaches and some of this stuff that you're seeing in, you know, players, you know, in the league. I mean, how much does that affect you? Did you have any, you know, concussion issues? Where are you with that?
That's a great question, and I think that's why you see guys playing less years.
Right, more intense, less years, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you'll see too many more guys playing 18, 19 years like Bruce Smith, 20-some-odd years like Jerry Rice. Because, again, like you say, these guys see what happened to a lot of us older players. They want to have a great quality of life.
Right.
You know, after you get through with the game, you want to be able to play with your grandkids, with your kids when you're out of the game. So, and, you know, as football players, we're so conditioned to say you have to be able to play through injuries. You know, you have to be able to go. You have to show your toughness by being able to line up and get out there on the field each and every week, and you go out there with things that you probably shouldn't go out there with as far as the injury. So, you know, that was a big prevalent part. I think they've gotten a lot smarter. The doctors have got a lot wiser, and they pull guys out. For instance, with a concussion, back in the day when I was there, you get concussed, they'll bring you to the sideline.
All you got to do is follow
the finger, and then they'll ask you the day of the week it is. Well, if you look around, most of the guys, you're going to see the guys all dressed the same. You could just say Sunday and guess, and they shove you right back in there in the game. And now they got spotters up there that watch guys. So even if a guy takes a hard hit now, even if he's not concussed, you know, those spotters might bring them off the field or have somebody just check those guys out. So it's gotten a lot better from that standpoint. And like I say, man, guys now, they are so smart, they're so savvy. These guys just want to have a good quality of life. So that's why I think you'll see careers get shorter, more impactful, but a shorter career.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the amount, you won't find too many people that played the position you played, you know, lasting 10+ years, you know, right? I mean, that's rare.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And then the fact that they make so much more money than we make.
They don't have to stay in, right? Exactly. I'm good, man.
They make more off their first contract than I made in my whole 18-year career. So you don't have to be out there as long, because you can financially set yourself up for life. You and your family up for life. Yeah.
Well, what would you say to some of these youngsters entering the NFL? I mean, you know, what's some, you know, wisdom you could impart?
Well, the thing about it, when they say the NFL stands for not for long, that's the truth. It really does. To me, it's harder staying in the NFL than getting in the NFL, because if you think about it, you got a player coming in every year trying to take your position. You may have a coach that you don't see eye to eye with.
Yep.
You may not be playing to their expectations. Money might become an issue where you become a casualty.
Yeah.
So it's so many surrounding things that can shorten a person's career. So I tell a guy, man, take this as a privilege. It's a privilege to be in the NFL, but make the most of it, man.
Yeah.
However long you're in the NFL, make the most of it. So that's probably the best advice I could give a young guy coming in.
Turning to business a little bit, you're kind of famously known for turning your professional career into a very successful business career and entrepreneur, and you've done a ton of stuff. Unfortunately, that's not the case for a ton of athletes, but I feel like it's becoming more the norm. People are getting smarter with their money afterwards, so what was the transition like out of the league, into the next phase of your life? What, were you lost for a little bit, or did you know exactly when you were done what you wanted to do?
No, you're great. That's great. No, I was, and it still is. It's kind of a struggle, but it's hard because I think it's hard because in football, the results. After that game, either you won or lost that game. Yeah. Whether you had a good game or a bad game. So you get those results just like that. In the business world, it doesn't happen like that. You could be working on the client for months,
that's right,
maybe even years, and still might not get that deal closed. And I think that's probably been the hardest part for me because, like I say, I'm kind of used to the instant gratification. Either I know I got the deal or you don't have the deal.
That's right.
But and in the business world, it just seems to be a little differently. And I was lucky. I was lucky. I had a great agent that stayed with me after my playing career was over with. I was able to transition into ESPN for 8 years. So I was with ESPN for 8 years, sitting next to Skip Bayless and Stephen A. Smith, man. Back then we were called Cold Pizza. Now it's First Take they're on now. But, so I was able to get that experience. So that helped me out. And then was able to go and work for a guy like Dan Gilbert for 2 years to kind of learn the business acclimates that you need to know. So I've been fortunate from that standpoint. And you're right, a lot of players, they're lost. For a little bit, a year or two, I was kind of lost about what I would do, what I wanted to do with life. But I'm glad I had some good people around me that kind of helped direct me.
Yeah, and, I have to imagine, I'll never know, but you have to imagine that when you go from, filling up stadiums and hearing that, that adrenaline and being with the guys and celebrating wins and all the fun stuff that comes with, being a superstar professional athlete. I mean, it doesn't get much higher in the cultural scale than that. I have to imagine that that's a little bit of a come down when you enter the business world grind and you're like, damn.
Yeah, you're right. You don't have 80,000 cheering for you. You're absolutely right about that. And that's why I think a lot of guys get lost because, again, your identity is what you were on that football field. Now you got to create a whole nother identity off of that football field. And sometimes it takes guys longer than others to adjust to that aspect of life, turning the page on that book, getting ready to go to the next phase of your life. So, it's an adjustment for everybody. And then again, don't take out the injury factor, especially like you talked about a little earlier with CTE, some of the head injuries. And those are the injuries you can't really see, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You can see somebody if he's limping or got a bad knee, a bad back. But, man, a bad brain, those are things that kind of can go unnoticed for a long time until they start presenting problems to you. So, yeah, you're right. It's a lot of things you struggle with.
When you, you say you turn it to the phase after football, you've continued to work out. You said you're working out four or five times a week. Now all functional stuff and you got a trainer. You do meditation, anything like that, running, swimming, or is it all weights in the gym? What's the regiment look like?
I got yoga? There you go. My wife is a yoga instructor.
Is that
man.
right?
So, yeah, man, she be having the big fella in the corner all balled up in all these different positions like I'm a human pretzel. And I'm telling her, I'm like, man, I can't get in this position. She'd be like, no, mind over matter.
You got to breathe through it. You got to breathe through it.
Oh, my God. I hear that so much, man. Yes, us yoga yogis. We do this and we do that. I'm like, look, I'm not a true yogi, so I don't know about breeding. But yeah, man. But she's been great, man. Even with as far as what I eat and everything, it's just been great for me. But yeah, man, them yogis, they dangerous.
Well, it's working. You don't. What are you? 50, 58?
58. Yeah. Man.
I would say you look about 45. I
Thank
think.
you.
Yeah.
See, I can hang out. We can hang out every day, man.
You know, I recently, it was in the news. You partnered with another Lions great, Herman Moore.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that venture? And I know we're getting into it a little bit. I think, talking about that partnership, before. But can you talk about that relationship? I mean, I'm sure you guys had a relationship, going way back, and I remember growing up. It was just I had a Herman Moore jersey for like 12 years, and like the letters were falling off at it at the end. But I loved watching him as well. And what's that endeavor been like?
First of all, such an underrated player, man, and the accolades
for sure,
of the
right?
NFL history. I mean, think about it. Herman was Calvin Johnson before Calvin Johnson.
I always said that.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, man, people just sleep on Herman. And I know a lot of it had to do with our success that we didn't have getting in the playoffs and winning in the playoffs as a group. But, man, Herman, man, I'm telling you, man, if people go back and look at his history, man, they'll see he's one of the top receivers that ever played this game. So it's just been a pleasure to team up again with Herman. You know what I'm saying? The one thing people don't know about this guy, man, he's one of the most intelligent guys I've ever been around, man.
Right?
Yeah, he's a guy that graduated from the University of Virginia, a guy that really is innovative in his thinking. He's a technical guy, man, so he's into all kind of technologies. But Herman's a deep thinker, and he's always thinking ahead, and he always has like 3 or 4 other things.
Well, he's like a serial entrepreneur from what I found.
Man. Look, every day I go in the office, man, it's like something new we getting into as a business. I'm like, where did this come from, man? So from marketing, branding, he has a staffing company. We have technology that he's partnered up with and bought. We have a promotional company. It's just every time you turn around, there's something that he's layering on top. But the good thing about it is everything meshes together. It's not just like things that you just kind of throw something at. It's things that kind of mesh together. So we may be off in a lot of different directions doing a lot of different things, but they all come back together to form a great company. And I love it, man. And it's like being back in the locker room because he likes to crack jokes. I like to crack jokes. So it's like being back in the locker room.
That's awesome. Again. You talk about Herman, being underrated, but I always remember him being pretty like soft spoken. He wasn't like a big showboater, and he wasn't like loud in front of the cameras. He kind of came in, got work done, and that's kind of, I think, at least my what I remember of him. And maybe he needed to be.
Think about the guys back then. You had Michael Irvin.
That's right.
You had Andre Rison. You had all those guys that was always in the news. Those guys were causing some type of controversy or something. And like you say, Herman just went under the radar. That's right. Exactly right, man.
So, with your partnership with Herman, is it, Metro Detroit based? Are you guys expanding outside of kind of the Michigan market? Where's a lot of your business and focus? Is it in Detroit? Is it all over?
The great thing about us partnering up, we're basically national.
That's great.
So everything that we could do, because of our partners who we partner up with, we're a national company. We're based right in Troy, Michigan, but we could service anywhere in the United States. And he's actually looking outside globally. So we're actually looking outside of the United States to do some projects. The companies that we partner up with are companies, Merit. That's our manufacturing company that we have in Sterling Heights. So they do all our manufacturing. So we could do anything from soaps to deodorants to lotions. Whatever you need in manufacturing, we can do it with our relationship with Merit. He's with Superior. So Superior does all the labeling and a lot of the promotional goods that you do. That's a company that's been in business for like 90 years. So they have a great footprint. but we are the majority partner in that relationship with that company. So again, everything he does is.
Well, I was looking at some of the companies that you guys partner with. I mean, they're not small names. You got McDonald's on there.
Exactly right.
You got some large brands. So, that's awesome. Are you doing any commentary anymore? Because I mean, I love listening to you, watching you. What's that look like? Or
so I'll be back. I just talked to Dan Miller's my partner.
Yeah.
So we'll be back with 97.1. The Lions just moved over to 97.1 as their broadcasting partner.
I like that.
Yeah. So we'll be with them with Mike Valenti and all those guys. But Dan Miller, man, I'm telling you, man, this will be my 4th year taking Jim Brandstedter's place.
Yep.
Being the color commentator for the Lions. And man, he's just made the transition so smooth for me, man.
That's great to hear.
Because, I was a rookie.
Yeah.
I was back in my rookie year, man. So I was young, didn't know what to expect out of it, man. But Dan Miller's just such a pro, man. He just really carries our whole team. And, man, it's just a pleasure being able to line up next to him and call games. And hopefully we have a lot more or a lot better to talk about than my first 3 years under Coach Patricia. It's been
So what do you think about that? Turning back to to football a little bit, are you optimistic?
I am, and full disclosure, I played 2 years with Dan Campbell. So that's my guy, man. I love Dan. That's my guy.
I like his energy. I mean,
man.
We're gonna take kneecaps. Yeah. Fucking love it.
And I'm gonna be looking for kneecaps. I told Dan, look, after every game, I'm gonna be looking down on the field. I want to see some kneecaps, some elbows. I want to see body parts down there on the field.
I mean, don't you think that us being kind of a middle market team, we have to be the grittiest. We have to be the hardest, and we got to go back to the bad boy mentality.
Thank you.
We gotta hit people hard, and we gotta hit them again.
I agree with you. And if we got to talk some smack, we got to do that too. Yeah, I agree 100% with you. And I've always think it's outside of Detroit. I always feel it's been a Detroit bias against Detroit sports teams, not just the Lions. Right. I think the Tigers, the Pistons, the Red Wings, it just seems to be a Detroit bias. I don't know why. Maybe that's just my feelings. I'm deep into my feelings, but that's how I've always felt since I've been here.
I feel like, I even feel like, being from Detroit, living in Metro Detroit, like any of the teams, any of the businesses, you always feel like you're kind of slept on. With the coastal teams, coastal businesses. You got the tech guys out west. You got the money, banking guys out east. And we're just like here, gritty, hard workers getting it done. And you always feel you got a little chip on your shoulder.
Absolutely.
And I've always carried that into business and what we do. You got to be the hardest worker in the room.
Yep.
You got to outwork people. You got to be willing to put in the hours, and you got to be able to earn respect because you're not really going to be given it.
And look what we do. Look what we do for the United States. I remember I got so upset when they said we were going through our crises, especially with the big three, and they were debating whether we should, when we were filing for bankruptcy, should we bail them out? Should we bail the big three out and everything? Heck, that's what built this country, man.
Right.
That's where, what I'm saying, transportation, being able to do some of the things that Americans enjoy comes right here from Detroit. And I'm not a Detroiter, but I am a Michigander now. I gave up my Floridian.
Did you?
So
you got a Michigan license?
I've been had that, man. So I'm a true Michigander now. Sorry, Florida, but I'm a true Michigander. But it's some of the hardest working people, like you say, are right here, and they got that work ethic that you need, that the rest of the United States can use. This is where you find your hard-working, blue-collar people at right here.
That's right. I love that. So you're optimistic about the Lions. You like the coach. What about the talent on the field? What do you think? What do we got? What do we need?
So to be a little critical, I was just kind of upset with, I guess, how Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn were able to let some of our talent go. Just think about that. Golden Tate, Quandre Diggs, Darius Slay. We alienated Snacks Harrison.
What was the logic behind it?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I just said, and didn't
Did they say it was locker,
that.
Like they weren't bringing the team together or some shit?
Those are your leaders in the locker room. I just remember in the Wayne Fonts, like I told someone the other day, man, Look, we weren't afraid. Like, if I had a bad series on the field, coming up to the sideline, I wasn't afraid of Wayne or any of the other assistant coaches. I was nervous about Chris Spielman, Jerry Ball, Benny Blaze, Herman Moore. I was Kevin Glover. I was more worried about them getting up in my face and challenging me than the coach. And you got to have guys like that in the locker room. So for them to take the leaders out the locker room and not want to give them a voice, to kind of cut them off at the gonads, man, that just wasn't a good decision by Coach Patricia. And as you can see, the team, just how they played, we weren't a tough team. You know, we didn't finish games the way we need to finish games.
Right.
And you're going to have those ups and downs in the locker room. You got to have somebody that can smooth it out in the locker room. They didn't have that because we got rid of everybody. So hopefully, you know, I know Dan, he's going to start bringing in the type of players that he needs to bring in. But as far as win-losses right now, I don't know how much better we're going to be, but I do know we're going to be a more physical team. We're going to be a more disciplined team, and I think we're going to finish games this year.
Well, if you just take those three things and you look at any of the last 3 seasons, there's probably 4 games that go to the W column if you do those three things. So there's at least that. You know,
exactly right.
You know, we might not be playing for the Super Bowl, but there's at least that.
Exactly.
And, you know,
and you know that's what fans want here.
Yeah.
That's what the tough fans. That's what fans expect here in the Midwest.
Yeah.
That's right.
Do you think in our lifetime you'll see a Super Bowl ring here? You think?
Man,
you know,
I hope so.
I know.
Oh my God! As an alumni, we hope so, man. Because again, we live and die with the Lions too as alumni.
Yep.
And quiet as it's kept, when they do good, we do good as alumni.
That's
you
right.
get more appearances.
Yeah.
You know, so life is good for alumni when the Lions are doing good on the field. Absolutely, man. So, we're cheering them on every Sunday because we want them to do well because we're going to do well if they do well.
You know, you got to, play with Barry.
Yes.
You know,
I call him the little big fella now.
Little big fella now.
Little big fella, yeah.
Do you still talk with him?
Yeah, man. I see the little big fella a lot and stuff and talk to B. So, man, just a great guy, man.
Yeah.
But especially, I have to tease him. I don't know if you've seen his solar commercials where he's trying to run up the stadium stairs.
Yeah, I saw
I say, B, man, them knees don't get up like they used to, man.
That's funny. When you think about the greatest player in the NFL, ever, how do you even think about that? You have to go by position. It's not necessarily a general statement, but do you have any people that you just think have, transformed the game like Michael Jordan did basketball? Who are those players, or who is that player in your mind for football? I mean, it's so hard to say because you could break it down by position, but is there anyone who you feel just, forever changed?
Well, I'm going to be biased, and I know Barry did. Think about it. If you mention Jim Brown and maybe Walter Payton, the next person you're bringing up has to be Barry Sanders. I don't care what conversation you're talking in, and it's just your preference as to whether Jim Brown or Walter Payton, to me, are in front of him. Not to me. Yeah. He's the greatest. But another guy that came out with me is Jerry Rice. Yep. Class of 85, Jerry Rice. He redefined that position. They talk about Randy Moss. They talk about T.O. and all these other receivers. They even talk about Calvin. But Jerry Rice, for this guy that played think about it now, Jerry played 21 years in the NFL.
That's
21
crazy.
years, man. And he has almost, anytime you talk about a receiving record, you have to talk about Jerry Rice. And when you talk about greatest players of all times, Tom Brady, he's the GOAT. But, man, Jerry Rice, man, for what he did, what he meant to the game, the longevity that he brought to this game, he has to be one of the guys that's up in the top 5, top 2, top 3, however you want to mention it. He has to be up there. But the little big fella, that's my favorite. He made the big fella. He took care of the big fella.
It was always disappointing, as a Lions fan, because I've always I think as a Detroit sports fan, when the teams struggle, you kind of latch on to players because you get proud. So I feel like we've had some of the best wide receivers.
Yes.
We've had in Megatron we've had the best running back arguably.
Yes.
And I've just found myself always being attached to unique players who I thought for their position were kind of extraordinary. And I always remember I also had a Jason Hanson jersey because that guy was steady. I think he was like the leading scorer for Lions for a long time. So did you have a relationship with him at all?
Oh yeah, man, that's my guy. Actually, we're going in the College Hall of Fame together.
Is that right? Yeah, congratulations.
We got inducted in. Well, we didn't because of the pandemic.
Yeah,
we were supposed to get inducted in last year, but me and Jason got. I guess inducted in the same year. So that's my guy, man. Yeah. Now look, the only time we used to get up, I'm gonna tell you, this is a story I'll tell you about. We used to get upset at Jason sometime too because until they backed the extra point up. Remember, the extra point was just on the 2-yard line.
Yeah,
so it was an easy kick, right? Man, Jason would get in there after a 15-play drive, and as lineman, you're tired.
Yeah.
So you want him to hurry up and kick the ball. Man, Jason has his routine where he has to do like
his thing.
This. He got to walk back 3 steps. He got to shake his shoulders. He got to do this again. He got to move over to the left 3 steps. He has to do this again. You be on the line, man. If you don't just kick this damn ball, man, we're tired. We done been on the 15-play drive. It's an extra point. But he was great, man. And for me, I had 2 of the greatest. It was him and Eddie Murray.
Yeah.
Were my 2 kickers when I was here. So
you got spoiled.
I sure did, man. So that's one thing that we know the Lions did good was picking kickers.
Yeah, we've always done that well. I think about the Lions and just being a Lions fan. It's always exciting when a season starts. I think are they expanding the season this year?
Yep, 17 games.
What do you think about that? I mean, when you talk about longevity of players, the speed of the game, is it all revenue based? Is that why they're doing it?
Thank you. That's it. That's it. That is it. And they kind of contradict themselves when they say, "Oh, we're looking out for player safety, or just the safety of the game." We're taking, but you're right, man. That one game is going to shorten a lot of careers.
Yeah.
It really is. I think they got some numbers on just how much it's going to shorten careers, and it is. It's a money grab. It is for the owners, and I mean, God bless them. They're making a lot of money, but man, you're sacrificing. A lot of players, you're going to sacrifice some careers. You're going to shorten careers. You're going to have to deal with some injuries because I just know when I first went to my first Super Bowl with the New York Giants in 2000, even though we lost it to Ray Lewis and the Baltimore Ravens, man, we ended the season after we lost that Super Bowl in February. We were back in to lift weights in March, the end of March. And then once you start lifting, you go through OTAs, you go through training camp, and then you go through the preseason and right to the season. I was still sore going through the regular season that following season because I didn't have enough time to recover from that. And again, when you start talking about adding on another game, and stuff.
It adds up, right?
It does. It really does, cumulative. And that's why I think Tom Brady is so great because I played till I was 39 years old, playing 18 years. And just to see this guy at the tender age of 43, 44.
Yeah.
And, cumulatively, that's what gets a football player is all those hits you've taken throughout the years. Mm-hmm. They build up to a point where you don't want to go or you can't go anymore. And like I say, just to see him playing at the highest level that he's playing at his advanced age, it's just unbelievable because I know how I was feeling at 39 when I left the game.
Switching back to business a little bit, I know you're very involved in business, but you also have been very involved in philanthropy and giving back and engaging with the community and working in the city. Can you talk a little bit about kind of the mission there, your thoughts in general on where we can help and what you've been interested in helping?
Yeah, well, I have my foundation, the Lomas Brown Jr. Foundation. I've had that since probably about 91, 92 when I formed it. And when I first got to Detroit in 85, that was the thing. You know, as an offensive lineman, the only time they call your name is if you're doing something wrong, you're holding or doing something wrong on the field. So I said I wanted to make my name another way too, and it was to get in the community, be charitable, you know, give up my time. And that's what I started doing in 1985 and just continued to do that. And it's so important. My foundation, we're geared towards kids. That's what my foundation is geared towards. How can we empower kids? How can we help kids be the best they can be? And that's been my focus, because I know how important it is to sow into our kids, because they're going to be our next leaders. You know, they're going to be leading this country. So that's what my foundation has always been about. We service, I do a lot of things in Detroit, but not just Detroit, the Pontiac area. I do a lot of things in Flint. I try to go to the areas, Jackson, Michigan. I try to go to the areas that really need it a lot, which can benefit from some of the things that we could bring to the table. So, you know, I've been fortunate from that standpoint. Got a lot of great sponsors that have helped me through the years. So now, after this year of being off because of the pandemic, I have my first camp coming up in July. It's called the LEAP Camp, which stands for Learn, Earn, and Play. And it's an educational camp.
That.
Yeah. See? Big fella
there
got
you go. You got some ideas.
There you go. Yeah. So it incorporates girls and boys, athletes and non-athletes, and we try to get that student that's on the fence that could fall either way.
Right.
You know, we don't try to go after the super smart kid. We want that kid that can go either way. So, you know, I'll have that in Pontiac in July, and then after that year, after next year, the following year, I'll start back with my football camp, which I do every year. And that's not to create, when I do my football camps, I'm not trying to create the next athlete or NFL star. What I'm trying to do is show these guys how they can be a positive in their neighborhood. Because if I got 100 kids at my camp, maybe 5 of those kids are going to get a scholarship. Maybe out of those 5 kids getting a scholarship, maybe 2 of them are going to get a D1 scholarship. So the rest of the kids, you know, they probably going to get D2 or NIA or whatever scholarship. So I got 95 kids that are going to go right back into their communities. So I want them to be positives in their communities instead of negatives. So just showing them how they could do camps, put on camps, and do different things like that is really the reason why I do those football camps.
Well, that's awesome, because I think that, you know, you're such a. I could sit here and listen. I could listen to you talk all day, man. I mean, you got a way about you, and you know you're engaging, and I think that there's, you know, we need so many of those people that can inspire at the community level, at the local level.
Absolutely.
You know, not everyone's going to be an NFL athlete and have the platform, but you know, you can give it back every day.
That's right.
You know, in your community, in your town.
Exactly.
You know, they always say it's easier to raise good children than fix broken men.
That's right.
I mean, because we're already kind of messed up.
Wait, you must have been looking in my phone. That's one of my sayings
is that
in
right?
there. Yeah, that's one of my sayings
Great
in
mind.
there. Yeah, absolutely, man. Because it's so true.
Yeah.
You're right, man. You know, once you get set in your way, look, I'm 58 years old, so I know I'm set in my ways, man. My wife tells me that all the time. So you're absolutely right. Get them young when you can mold them and everything. And like you said, you can have a lot of successful men.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thank you for coming on, and thanks for all you do. And looking forward to listening to you on 97.1 this fall. And just a pleasure having you. Thank you so much.
And hopefully we'll be talking about a good season. We're going to get this ball rolling so things will start turning around.
That's right.
Absolutely.
I think if we get 3 to 4 more wins than we had last season, I think that's the right progress. And
Absolutely.
I think all those things you talked about, discipline, hard work, grit, we'll get there.
Yes, sir. I agree with you 100%.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. You can find Everything Borrowed on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Show your support and drop a 5-star review to help more people find our channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Stay up to date with us on Facebook, Instagram, and everythingborrowedpodcast.com. EBP is produced by Chelsea Cox, Jason Brown, and Vox Adams. Edited and filmed by Nick Ferguson. Art is by Adam Yarborough. Everything Borrowed is an after-hours media production. Copyright 2021.